Hey, how you doing? Coming to you in the heart of America. And I don't know if I'll be continuing this journey a little further today because I'll have the missus with me, and she might not want to be. She might want to talk about some things that shouldn't be open to the public. And it's it says it's right at freezing right now, 32 degrees in the car thermometer, however accurate that is. Midnight when I was driving to Woik, I was talking about a little bit of history that might surprise some people to know that I was once sort of involved with the militia movement. Now, I've never joined a militia, but I had felt like at the time, and this was when I was in the Air Force, to college, early 90s. I felt at the time militias had a very valid argument, and there was a definite need for people to be on guard and keep an eye on the government, lest it become a tyrannical force in our lives. And I still feel that way, but I don't necessarily feel like the way things have gone with militias that's the right way anymore, because a lot of people that are in the movement, right-wing nutcases lined up with a lot of neo-Nazi scum and racists, and just over time of living and having experience, I felt like any good that could come out of that has quickly gone away, and people should just get involved. I mean, you have your children that you're raising in the schools, and I mean, that's your area of concern, really. And if you are interested in politics, get involved with the local politics. That's what's going to affect you most of all in life. Don't be so hung up on national. I've just seen that all arguments seem to degrade between Republicans and Democrats, who can outdo each other as far as how radical we can think it would be. And it's like, it's not about that. It's about, at the end of the day, just trying to come together and agree on things, compromise if you can't totally agree. I mean, it's all right to disagree, but it seems like, when you have it, all these shootings in the city, and it stems from an argument over something stupid like what street you live on or whatever. And these tough guys, they don't know how to have an argument, or at least settle it. If they have to settle it physically, do it in a way that it doesn't leave somebody dead at the end of the the end of the disagreement. And there's so many stupid ways that people are dying, and a lot of times it's innocent people dying. Like somebody's got to shoot at somebody else they saw that they're feuding with, and oops, I shot through the bedroom of a little kid and killed a little kid. That's happened so many times here in Kansas City, it's not even funny. And it's just, and I think what's going on in the country now is a form of mental illness. There's a lot of lonely people in this country, and they don't know how to express themselves, and they got to go to the ultimate extreme of everything. You disagree with me? Well, I'm getting my gun. And they're like, no, that's not how it works. And I firmly believe in the Second Amendment, but I also firmly believe that you should not allow mentally ill people to have guns. And I think that includes people who are drugged out of their brains. If you can't take a piss test, then you shouldn't have a gun. Heck, maybe in the 2016 election, for a lot of people. I think a lot of people voted VUI, voting under the influence. Lots of road destruction going on in Kansas City right now. Here is a really gorgeous view of the city. I don't know if I can. This camera, even though the iPhones are known for the stabilization they have, and this kind of thing when you're driving on a bumpy road, it's not the smoothest, but it kind of gives you a better view of what I'm seeing. As you come into downtown on Main Street from the south, Liberty Memorial is. Hold on, and all this destruction going on. Liberty Memorial is over there to the left of me, and this big complex over here to the right is Crown Center. It's the headquarters of Hallmark Cards, a family that came to Kansas City, I believe, at the turn of the century and got rich by making greeting cards. And everybody knows they're world famous. The Hall family, Hallmark. To my left, and there's a skywalk that goes towards Crown Center. In the heart of the headquarters of Hallmark is a shopping mall called Crown Center. And they employ a lot of people in Kansas City area, and they do their, I believe their Hallmark Hall of Fame TV shows and everything. They produce it. I don't know where they produce it, but I think I know there's a lot of video production that goes on in there. And now we're in the Kansas City Crossroads. To the left is Pendergast headquarters. This district is so named because some major highways intersected through here. Jefferson Highway and National Old Trails Road are two of them. Up until the 1950s, when everything started getting bypassed by the interstate, and it formed the loop around downtown. At one time in Kansas City, this was the area where you came to buy cars. This was a lot of car parts and auto dealers and things like that were in here. And that was sort of an outgrowth, you know, the area between, this area being where all the carriage houses were, stables, liveries. I mean, you know, there was some of them all around downtown, but there were a lot of them down here, so that, you know, if you came into town riding a horse or wagon, you could put it up down here and then stay in a hotel downtown. And now we've crossed over in downtown. The Power and Light District to our left, we just passed the Power and Light building. That round building is the H&R Block headquarters. Tax preparation empire. The taxes became so complicated that it took a team of experts to figure out how to do your taxes for you. I know we've long past the time when we could use the easy to do our taxes. Now it's definitely not the easy form for us. I think that happens when you have a family and you buy a house. Nobody living in our house that is in our basement. We don't have any failure to launch adults living with us. You could probably claim that I was one of those up until my mid-30s when I got married. I didn't see much need to move out. Some say, well, you're a loser, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, I don't know. I worked. Actually, that's not completely true, because there was the time I was in the Air Force. At times I was in college, and I lived in Warrensburg in a house with friends after the Air Force, and then the friends turned out to be not such good friends, not such good roommates. So then I lived in a little trailer, and I really miss that trailer. It was a 1960 Ventura, which is actually kind of rare, I think. And it was beautiful. I had hardwood on the inside and 2 bay windows. On the outside, it looked like hell. It was all rusty and everything. It had all these built-in cabinets and everything. And when I left college and got my first TV job in Lawrence, Kansas, the trailer was sold to another college student, but he fell out with the landlord, and the landlord yanked the trailer out and gutted it. And so that is a real shame. I really wished we had kept that trailer. It was really neat too, because it had that total late 50s, early 60s, mid-century modern interior with hardwood and the built-in cabinets and everything. It was beautiful. If I could find another one, I'd kind of like to get a couple acres sometime and start what's called a base camp. Now that's not a military term. I'm not ready to fight the government with the war or anything. No, base camp is for people who are like RV, who live out of their RVs and travel. And a base camp is a place where you can park your RV. And oftentimes you'll have, it's like a couple of acres of land. You'll have hookups for your RV, and then if you have friends that you meet on the road, you have spots for them they can pull in. And oftentimes there'll be a little cabin or a mobile home on it or something. And it's just a place that when you get tired of the road, you can come home. Because I would love to travel and live out of an RV, travel the United States and do my videos and come home somewhere to a base camp and live out of it. Probably could call it a home base camp, I guess. I don't know. We just passed through the oldest part of Kansas City, the River Market. The city actually started on the Missouri River when the founders of Westport, Missouri, the original town, wanted to move their settlement closer to the river, and when they did, they called it City of Kansas, because Missouri River and the Kaw or the Kansas River. And at the time there was not a state of Kansas, and a lot of people wonder why Kansas City, most of Kansas City is on the Missouri side. It's because the state of Kansas wasn't even a state, wasn't even really considered to be part of the United States. It was just considered to be unsettled territory. Native Americans lived there, soldiers, people traveled across it to get to, after the Mexican War, Santa Fe, California, and Oregon. I got to qualify that because people were traveling back and forth. The original trail was the Santa Fe Trail. People were traveling back and forth to Santa Fe even when it was a part of Mexico. And they would get outfitted and head west from Westport for the most part. I mean, there were a lot of places along. The Santa Fe Trail actually begins east of here. And from there, you if you headed east towards St. Louis, the major trail or road was called the Boonslick Trail, named after the Boone family. The most famous member of that family was Daniel Boone, and they created a trail between St. Louis, which was a big settlement on the east side of Missouri, to their they had a salt mine operation in mid-Missouri, and that trail became heavily traveled. It became kind of like the freeway of Missouri in the early days, and the National Old Trails Road roughly follows that trail. Right now we're in a city of North Kansas City, which is a separate little city from Kansas City, and we're on the Jefferson Highway. Actually, Jefferson Highway heads east of this intersection about a block and then goes north. I don't have a lot of time right now, so I'm just cutting it this way. Excuse me. with my overnight shift. This is Miller time for me. Although there's no happy hour or bars at 8:30 in the morning. But I do love seeing the sunrise, waking up with the sun. So I like the sunset. So I kind of got my wish. Be careful what you wish for. You know, I'm up for the sunrise and I can see the sunset if I want. But then the in-between time, I have to work overnights. And excuse me. But yeah, when I was driving to work this morning, I was talking about how I got sort of involved in things that now people consider right wing. I never considered it right or left wing. I considered it just kind of like, hey, if your government is doing bad things, but nowadays a lot of right-wing people have totally taken it over and taken it up as their cause. Poor oppressed white people, I guess. I don't know. I don't feel oppressed. I'm white. I feel like I've had it good in this country. I feel like a lot of people have. And I feel for people who didn't have it good because of the color of their skin or where they've come from. Life can be hard enough as it is without people coming after you for stupid stuff. Oh, you were born in the wrong stars. I hate you. Whatever. About the time I was in the Air Force, leaving the Air Force, I did 1 year in the reserve. I couldn't stand it anymore because I was going back to college. Every time I had a big test or final, that was when the weekend that we had to be in do a reserve weekend, or the one time a month, and I wasn't the only. There was another guy. He was an engineering student, and he was like, I got to quit because I can't do this anymore. I can't do my weekend 2 weeks a year, and although I wanted to and still go to college, and I was sort of the same way, although I kind of quit suddenly because I had done 4 years in the regular military, and I was just doing the reserves just to kind of stay in a little bit, and then I just like, no, this is not for me. I don't like it anymore. And I shouldn't have left like that, but I did. It wasn't a dishonorable thing or anything. It was just like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. College and reserves was rough. And I remember I was in the reserves, and I was really into this militia stuff, and the government, there's elements in the government that are doing bad things, and the conspiracies and the Waco and Ruby Ridge and things like that. And I think I attracted the wrong kind of attention back then, because I do believe, now this is going to sound really weird, but I do believe that somebody was spying on me. And I'm not talking like I'm really paranoid or something. I kind of know that they were spying on me because they told me they were spying on me. It was, at the time I was in a band, and the band broke up at the end of my Air Force career. I got in a fight with the drummer and a fight with the bass player. We all didn't get along with each other. It didn't help that there was all sorts of weird stuff going on in the early mid-90s. A lot of people were really into this Nazi crap, and I hated it. And I let them know, So I was trying to kind of reform the band, and this guy shows up, and we were practicing and everything, and he basically laid down some heavy hints. First off, he was an Air Force guy, and he said that the reason he was stationed at Whiteman trouble in England. He was originally stationed in England, and he got himself into some really trouble, a lot of trouble where they're going to kick him out. And then he started saying some things about how he was sort of working for, there's this thing in the Air Force called OSI, Office of Special Investigations, and they are military members who actually dress up like civilians for like busting people for serving alcohol to minors and things like that. And this guy that was in the band with me right before he kind of quit me and everything, he laid down some heavy hints that he was an informant, and that he brought another informant to my house. I remember that kid very specifically, another Air Force guy, and I think that they got that kid on drugs. I mean, busted him for drugs, and he, these were people who were just kind of, how informants work. It's somebody who gets busted for something, they agree to like dig up dirt on other people in order to in these guys' case, just stay in the military, I guess. And so yeah, with me talking all this militia stuff and kind of anti-government, yada yada yada, I attracted the wrong kind of attention, because when I had the breakup with my band, I think it was a bad breakup, and I think the one person in my band went and marched into the office of the OSI on base and started tattling on me. And I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was just expressing free speech. There was nothing wrong with what I was doing, nothing illegal. I wasn't suggesting that anybody needs to go shoot at anybody or blow up anything, and that became clear and apparent. I think they kind of sent this guy to check me out, and he's like, there's nothing. The guy's harmless. He's not doing anything. He's just talking, free speech. And yeah, when I was talking about that stuff this morning, I started thinking about it when I was at work, and saying, wow, yeah, I remember that. I had almost completely forgotten about all that stuff that had happened, how it made me kind of paranoid when I was looking back on it, thinking, man, is this guy... Now, I think he was sort of an informant, but I don't know. You get weirded out with your own thoughts in your brain, and you get paranoid about things. That, yeah, I kind of felt like he was sent to check me out. And so... And over time, I mellowed on that whole militia stuff. And I realized that what a lot of people were saying about a lot of the militia people is really true. That there are a lot of nutcases involved in it. I don't necessarily think it's time to get ready to fight a big revolution against... I mean, this is a good country. It's a stable country. Well, anyway, I'm going to wrap it up here. I may or may not be back in a little while.